Gilreath cutting the rest of the net down. There it is.
Well, good evening, everybody. Alan Slaughter-Zinski here for the Brevard Sports Network. And a couple of days ago, Brevard County lost another one of its spectacular coaches. This coach from the basketball side of the equation. He spent 7 seasons as the Astronaut War Eagles head basketball coach, won over 100 games, reached the 2021 Final Four, 3 consecutive seasons in which the program won 20-plus games, not to mention the fact that the year took it over, was a 3-win program, and then flipped it around just like that. And so please help me welcome, and it pains me to say, the former head basketball coach for the Astronaut War Eagles, Coach Kyle Gilreath. And Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Alan. It's been a bittersweet week and a lot of text messages and things, but I told my wife and my dad yesterday and today, I was like, the last 2 days are the best I've slept in like 7 years. So it's interesting, but I'm doing good.
You know, Coach, I love what you had to say. Obviously thanking Cheryl Shivel and Coach Shivel. I love dealing and working with Coach, and but 7 seasons. I know it kind of take us through this mindset as to why you stepped away as the head coach of the Astronaut War Eagles.
Most people who've reached out, I probably had 70 text messages in the last 2 days. They're, where are you going? What's next? Even my, Miss Miller, when I walked in her office, she was like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm just stepping down. I'm not trying to chase a job. A lot of guys will step down trying to, get hired. If an opportunity comes about, that's great. But there's more, a couple reasons. Being a high school coach is a lot of time. I've got 3 little kids. My wife has supported me tremendously for the last 12 years, 5 years in Fort Myers and 7 years here. And I've done whatever I wanted to do. And she's been tremendous. And there's some things that she wants to do. She wants to kind of give Peter a shot. She loves dancing. She's a professional dancer for the Magic for 3 or 4 years. And I said, you know what? Like, I think this is the time where I can take a year off, 2 years off, whatever it is, and let her chase her dreams for a little bit. And that was kind of the main thing. And as I thought about it and thought about our season and the success we've built and kind of the players we have now, I just felt like I really wasn't the guy for those players anymore. And I told them this when I met with them on Monday. They have kind of a vision how they want to play basketball and how they want to work. And I have mine, and I felt like they weren't aligning as well. And I think my associate head coach, Luke Forbes, so I'm hoping they hire, I think he's going to be a great fit for them. I think he can get them to where they need to be much better, much more efficiently than I can. So that Coach, was kind of the two main reasons that went into it.
Coach, I've always enjoyed my conversations with you because I always considered you to be very much a forward thinker in the world of basketball. Looking ahead and innovative. I always, when I talk to you, I always considered your thoughts, your ideas, how you saw the game in that way. You said something there I want to kind of touch on. How do you feel that you didn't, is there something that you feel with today's student athlete that you couldn't connect, or was this just something you want to take a step back from and maybe regroup a little bit? Kind of take me through that a little bit.
I'll say this, I love our players. I love all the guys that are coming back. They're going to be really good. I told Luke, Forbes, who I said, again, I hope you get the job. You're taking over a much better roster than I had my first year. My first year I was starting 4 freshmen that, weren't Jace Carter or Kerry or Kyle Smith. They were just hardworking guys who wanted to win. Um, I think a small part of it is the success we had for 5 years, and having guys like Jason, Kyle, like just relentless workers. You kind of get spoiled by that, and you kind of expect that kids were all going to want to have that same drive. And I'm not going to lie, like there's probably about 7 people in the world that know this. When Jace graduated, I interviewed for a job in Atlanta, one of the best high schools in the country, and didn't work out. And I wasn't really feeling it after the interview anyway. But I knew that expectation was going to be hard to live up to. And like I said, like the kids are coming back next year for us. They're very talented. They're very skilled. I just feel like my approach to like my mindset and what I expect is just a little different from theirs. And it's not good. It's not bad. I think there's a lot of times where I'm not saying I'm an NBA coach, but NBA guys get let go just because like they're just not the right guy anymore. And I felt like just it was time for me to let someone else try to help these kids get to where they want to be.
Well, I think it's fair to say, Coach, that you know a little more than most in terms of your experience. I mean, you were on the staff at the University of Florida when they won, national championships. You did learn from a guy that's coaching in the association right now. So what do you see as you look around the county? Like for me, and I'm not knocking the student athletes, and I'm not. But there's obviously a disconnect here somewhere because as I look at the skill level of our student athletes on the basketball court, I don't particularly feel and that it's where it should be, I guess. But I also know we have some great coaches like you and a ton of coaches in this county. Where is that disconnect? Is it from AAU to high school? Are there too many voices trying to teach these student athletes how to play basketball?
No, I don't think it's just this area. I think just look across the board at athletics in general. I think part of it is there's so many more things now for kids to do. Like,
Yeah,
hey, what did you do last night? I was on TikTok for like 5 hours. I
right.
think that's part of it. They have more options. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but and this, like this county is dominated by football.
Yeah,
The newspaper coverage to media, and like I mean, until you guys came along, like no one covered basketball or
right.
soccer or baseball or softball. I mean, it was just football, football, football. And I think that's part of it. I think kids. This is not so much for our guys because they've been working their tails off in the weight room since our season ended. I think the ability to just transfer and go to wherever you want. Kids don't. They're not wanting to work to get better. They're wanting to just transfer to what's easy so they can win.
Yeah,
And that hurts. Last spring, our staff was accused for 2 weeks for recruiting when I've never recruited one kid in my entire life from a local school, and that kind of ate me up a little bit because I've done stuff the right way for 7 years. I never called a kid, never tried to get a kid. Like we built a program that we wanted to be attractive, and I think just the kids wanting to jump around and coaches reaching out to kids and just that unethical part of the business was also part of why I was like, I just need a break because I can't like, it's not fun when
it wears you down.
yeah. I mean, I love coaching. I still have that passion. I just needed to take a little small break for my family and give somebody else a chance at Astronaut.
No, I certainly think that you deserve it. Obviously, as you look back, the Final Four run, Kyle, Jace, big part of your tenure there. Was there a moment in time as you look back and reflect a little bit, as I'm sure you will moving forward, and possibly have done a little bit to this point? Is there a moment in time where you go, "Yep, this was when it was all right. This is when I really felt like." Things were going exactly as I wanted them, and if so, when was that?
I mean, when you're cutting a net down and go to the Final Four, it feels pretty good. Like, you
Yeah,
did stuff the right way. I think those last 2 years were special. having that group, like I said, started as freshmen, their freshman year with Jaden and Twiz, and fortunately Lewis couldn't play because he aged out, and Javon got hurt. But like having those guys go from I brought them in, we won 3 games to being, in the I think it was Sweet 16 or Elite Eight where we lost Campton Catholic the first time. Like it's just a cool moment to see. You kind of put a vision out there and what you want to accomplish, and you find a group of guys that are just as hungry and want to accomplish it. That was just awesome, and just the relationships that was built with those players. Like, I mean, I called a bunch of them on Monday before I made the announcement because I care about those guys so much, you know, and I know that Coach Forbes, if he's given a chance, is just going to keep building it even bigger than what we already had.
Coach, what would you, obviously stepping down, taking some time off to spend with your family, beautiful family, by the way, your great family, man. What did your dad tell you about this decision? I'm curious.
Yeah, so early in the year, I kind of had some thoughts. I was struggling to get across to the players, and it's not that they're being disrespectful or it's just they're a different group. And I shared some frustrations with him, and he said, "Well, you're a great coach. I would hate to see you walk away." And just the more we discussed in the off season, told him my reasoning. Again, the major reason is to give my wife a chance to do some stuff.
Sure.
That's 95% of my choice of my decision. And he said, like he's done it since he was graduating from college, and now he's 70 some years old. Like it's a lot of work, it's a lot of energy. And he said, it's okay to take a break.
Yeah.
And one thing that kind of helped me was I read a book by Annie Duke. It's called Quit. Whether you're trying to run a business or career decisions, like it really helped me affirm some of my thoughts about or excuses on why I shouldn't or why I should. It really kind of helped my brain grasp some thoughts that I had about my decision.
Here with former War Eagle head boys basketball coach Kyle Gilreath. And Coach, congratulations on a great 7-year run at Astronaut. And obviously, we look forward to when you're coming back. In that book, I've had a couple other people I know. The Power of Knowing When to Walk Away, Quit, have told me it's a really, really, really good book. So let me ask you about one of your former players while I have you on here. Today, former War Eagle Jace Carter, he entered the transfer portal from the University of Illinois Chicago at the end of the year, where he was their leading scorer last year, and he has committed to Texas A&M. Congratulations to Jace, but I think as we were talking beforehand, we always felt like Jace was destined for a bigger school. Talk a little bit about that decision and what you know of it.
Yeah, I mean, I met Jace when he was 14, and, I always discuss with guys, like, hey, what's your goal? Like, do you want to play college basketball? Do you just want to play high school basketball? Like, what's your vision? And, his vision was, I want to play high major Division I basketball. And I was like, all right, well, let's break it down. Like, let's make it play college basketball, because then, make an attainable goal. Because if you don't reach Division I, like, essentially, quote unquote, you fail to reach your goal. To make Division I be the destination of that goal. So we got Division I. Very fortunate that Coach Yaklich met him when he was a freshman and, recruited him and ended up going to UIC and having a great career there. A great experience. Jace felt like, he wanted something a little different. And, as soon as he went to the portal, he had about 65 schools that were calling. And Texas A&M has one of their coaches on staff actually recruited Jace when he was in high school. And that was, for me, for a guy to believe in you in high school and then still believe in you, when you're in the portal,
sure,
that held a lot of weight in my heart. And I told him that. I said, this guy wanted you 2 years ago. He still wants you. That's got to be some part of your consideration. And just the whole process, some schools were great to him. I appreciate all the schools that were interested in him. But, Texas A&M just from my conversations with him and his family, they just kind of went above and beyond. And Chase just had a great relationship with the assistants. Love talking to Coach Williams. Had a great visit this last weekend, so I'm excited for him. Obviously now I've got a lot of free time, so I'll be flying into Houston, going to Nashville for the SEC tournament. So I'm excited about that part of it. Go see some guys play, and wherever Cario ends up, and go watch him play as well, and try to get up to see Kyle play in Georgia.
It's he had Arkansas, I'm reading, Ole Miss, Missouri, Oklahoma, Michigan State, Villanova, Clemson, and a lot more after him. And for those that don't know, what you need to know is last year Jace led the Flames in scoring, rebounds, steals. In fact, Carter led the Missouri Valley Conference in steals with 50 and was voted to the All-Missouri Valley Conference second team. Pretty impressive for his second year of college basketball, and there's no doubt that Jace is going to be an absolute star. Coach, I think Jace has got league potential just because of his body size, the way he's built. You're starting to see a lot of players now. It used to be in the NBA, if you weren't a first-round draft pick, you really didn't have a shot. But now with the lower leagues and things of that nature, I can certainly see a day where Jace Carter's playing in the NBA. Can you?
Definitely, yeah. I think he understands there's some things that he needs to work on. We've talked about it, and I've talked about it with the guys that have been recruiting him. So he understands there's a whole different level from even Missouri Valley to the SEC to the NBA. If the NBA is an opportunity for him in 2 years, that's going to be amazing. But we've discussed this that overseas is a great opportunity as well.
Absolutely.
So he's going to be working tirelessly and trusting the staff, and his focus right now is to help Texas A&M win, and the NBA stuff and post college stuff that'll be discussed in 2 years. But right now his focus is being an Aggie and competing for minutes and competing to help them win.
You had Jet Carter. What type of a player is Jet?
Jet's a tough kid. I mean, he's growing. I would say he's got more of a Tayshaun Prince style game, long, lanky, kind of shooter finisher.
Right.
Not as physical as Jace, but he's getting better. Like I said, my assistant coach, or hopefully the new head coach Luke Forbes, they've been in the weight room 4 days a week since I think March 20th.
Right.
So they're working. Kind of our goal was to add about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle mass in the next 6 months. So he's working hard. They're getting better. All those guys, Cam and Shane and all those guys are working very hard to get better and bigger for next season.
How's Kyle doing, Kyle Smith?
He's doing really well. He had I saw his dad a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to Kyle. And he had a very good second half of the season. He was shooting the ball well. I think he had some double doubles. One game, I think he had 7 threes or 8 threes. So
wow,
he's doing really well. He likes it. He's working hard, and he's excited to try to get up and see him play now.
Coach, and you can't say transfers. As a coach, not just in this county, but in high school basketball in the state of Florida, what if you could just wave a magic wand and change one or two things? What would it be?
Money.
Yeah.
Money. For coaches, and I think Dr. Randrick hit on it really well the other day. Is so the transfer stuff, I understand it. So when I was in Fort Myers, we had a kid who was at a school that was 0-40, and when he got to school there, and he's a Division I player, he doesn't need to go to school there. He needs to go somewhere where he can win. And in my opinion, if there's a program a kid is at and it's not helping them improve their skill set or helping them become a better player, I'm all for kids looking for better opportunities. My only issue is when coaches or people like that reach out to the kid or the family or have meetings in their living room trying to recruit the kid.
Right.
That's my problem. Listen, if you build a program that's winning and it's really cool and kids want to come, great. But when you're calling kids and texting kids, like that's just not right. Like you're an adult, they're 14 years old, like it's just not right.
Right.
Um, from the financial piece, I think teachers in Florida are underpaid, and then as a result, obviously coaches are underpaid. I mean, if you think about the amount of time that a basketball coach like myself put in the entire month of June, you're gone for 3 straight weekends for a team camp. You're probably in the gym 3 to 4 hours a day for 4 or 5 days a week for practice. And then you've got your fall workouts, and then your season starts. You have basically Sundays off from Halloween until March, and you lose Thanksgiving, you lose Christmas, and you're getting paid $3,500.
Right.
And it's like that was part of my thing is I'm never home, and I'm making $3,000.
Right.
And I understand I don't do it for the money. No one obviously does it for the money, but when you look at schools like Texas, there was a girls head basketball coach job outside Dallas I saw last week. The salary was $92 to $120,000, and there's no teaching responsibilities. Her
Wow.
job, or his or her job, whoever was hired, was to recruit nationally to make them a better team. And I
Wow.
and I understand, like Dr. Ranger mentioned, the majority of that is booster club money. Like I get it. Like things in Texas and Georgia, they're just different. Um, but at some point, I mean, you've addressed it with other coaches leaving, and there's got to be some change in the structure to take care of the people that are helping our young children get better, whether it's in school, whether it's athletics, whatever it is. It's not working. And you see it in like the level of our country right now. Like it's not going in a great direction.
Right.
Our priorities are not are not where they need to be. Um, so I
Yeah.
mean, I think financially it's hard to invest so much time year after year after year. I mean, my dad did it for 40 years, and um, so that's probably the two things I would say.
What? How will you stay connected to the game?
Well, I mean, my full-time job is with a company called Pure Sweat Basketball. So I work for a basketball company. So that's
Right.
naturally very easy. Hopefully Miss Miller, Miss Shivel give Coach Forbes the opportunity. And if that happens, I'll definitely be kind of involved somewhat in like a consulting role, helping with the transition and helping with some stuff in the summertime. Go watch them play, travel around, watch some college teams practice, high school teams. Just stay connected. I don't want my brain to fully get out of basketball, but I will have plenty of stuff to do around basketball with my full time job.
Right.
And like I said, look forward to being with and helping Astronaut. From a far distance consulting role. To help those guys keep growing and getting better.
I have a question for you, and you're just the man I wanted to ask this question to. It seems to me, obviously, with Brevard Sports Network, and I certainly never have any qualms about putting posts up about these teams, but just over the last 3 years, it seems the amount of AAU teams in this area have doubled.
Yep.
I mean, it's unbelievable how many AAU basketball teams have popped up in Brevard County, and I can only imagine what that number would be times whatever throughout the state and the country. Is this good or bad for the game?
I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
I think if you look at a lot of the news cycles recently with injuries and overuse injuries, I mean, there's kids playing like 90 games in a year. Like sometimes we'll go to a team camp and we're playing 10, 12 games in a weekend, and I hate it. Like I try to avoid that as much as possible. I think they're playing too many games. I think they're not developing, and that's part of what you touched on earlier. Kids not being good enough is, you know, if you go to an AAU practice, and this is not all teams, but they're working on team stuff. Um, these kids don't invest enough time like Jace and Kyle. Like, I mean, they were in the gym with me 90 minutes every single day just doing skill stuff, either before or after practice. And that's hurting the game. It's hurting their bodies physically, as they get older. And I think it's watering down the competitive edge to win. It's like, oh, hey, I got a medal. And it's like, yeah, but you finished fifth.
Right.
You didn't win.
Right.
You know, and AAU is great. Like there's some great organizations like Southeast Elite in Orlando. Like they are doing different stuff now than anything they're doing skill session days, like team days, like they're doing it they're doing it right. And I just think, you know, when a kid's in 5th grade, they don't need to play travel basketball. They need to go to the YMCA and play with their friends and learn how to love the game. And you know, as they get older, if they want to get better, that's great. But you know, I just think it's too much. You know,
Yep.
I think it's the game of basketball is going in the wrong direction with that stuff.
I definitely wanted to get your take on it because when I get a lot of emails, and again, I don't begrudge any AAU program. If they ask me to put something up and send me the information, I'll certainly give these student athletes the recognition they deserve because ultimately it's about them. But I was curious what your take was on that, and that's right where I thought it would be because it's kind of right where I am with it. You know, it's a lot to ask of a 12, 13, 14, hell, coach, 10, 11-year-old
Yeah.
as well. So, Coach, it has always been a pleasure, and I do expect to see you sitting next to me next year, at least in a couple of games, broadcasting some high school basketball games here next year. Would love to have you. Congratulations on a great run. And of course, anything you need from us, we're here and look forward to your next endeavor, wherever it may be, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it, Alan. You know, your support of myself and our program for the last 7 years has been unbelievable. And you know, I was thinking as I was walking home today from taking my kids to school is, you know, when I grew up, there was a Star Advocate, the local newspaper. They covered county sports, high school sports, you know, and as the media industry has changed, the Florida Today has changed. You know, Brian does a great job, but there's just not enough money to cover high school sports. And
Right.
what you have done, what Orville and Steve and you know Tracy has done, like helping our local athletes get recognition for free. Like, you know, you're not being paid to go to all these games other than, you know, some of your small sponsor stuff. And I truly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And, you know, looking forward to seeing you grow. And, you know, again, just thankful for your support and your friendship and, you know.
Absolutely, Coach. Ditto here on that end, and we've had some good conversations, and we'll continue to have them. That's for sure. I want to thank Coach Kyle Gilreath, and well, that'll wrap it up here. So for former head basketball coach of the Astronaut War Eagles, Kyle Gilreath, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network.
Kyle Gilreath cutting the rest of the net down. There it is.